Good. Yeah. I wanted to discuss three things, and they are two filters that I think digital photographers really need. They're essential. And the other thing is traveling. If you're doing any traveling, I think there are some things that you should be aware of and that you should make sure that you don't get caught up in some sort of a problem with the authorities because of what you're photographing. So I'll cover a little bit of that, just the essentials. And then I'm going to introduce you at that point to Marina, and she's going to talk a little bit further about travel photography because that's one of Marina's fortes, and I'll tell you a little bit more about her in a few minutes. At any rate, does anybody have any questions? Anything that you want to ask?
One thing I would like at some point would be just to talk about flash lights. I got Godog, Godex, and it used to work through the camera, ITTL, but for some reason now it doesn't work at all. I've upgraded both the flash and the camera, but it will not work as it should do. And I just wondered, I brought I got a Nikon and I brought a Nikon flash, but then found out that that didn't work. It's a 700 and you need to buy the 5000, which is $800 or something for it to work. So I just wondered if anybody else had problems or if you could explain. But it does. It when I put it on, it says the camera's not set up to work with the ITTL. And I'm not. I've tried everything. I've gone on talk sites, and they say do this, do that, and the other, and I've tried all that, and it still doesn't work. So it's just a question for you at some future date.
Okay,
Mhm.
let me have a look into that because I use the same make of flash, and
Hmm.
consequently, I think that I might have a little bit of insight that I could give you about that.
Yeah, yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be appreciated.
And I have another question. I dropped my camera lens and the protector shattered,
Oh
and I
no.
scratched the actual lens. It's $1,000 lens. Um, I don't see it in my photos, but I don't know if I'm not seeing it or a scratch would not show up on the photo. I don't know. What's your
Okay,
thoughts on that?
you scratched the lens.
Yes.
Now, did you have a UV filter or protective filter on it?
I had the filter, but the filter shattered. It dropped it on a rock
Aha,
with yeah. So the filter is completely gone,
right.
destroyed. And when it fell on top of the stone, it went through, of course, the broken glass and scratched the actual lens. So yeah, I had protection, but the protection broke. The
Yeah.
protection broke. Yeah. And so it's quite a big scratch. Um, I developed the photos and I didn't see anything. But I'm wondering if I'm not seeing it because of the maybe the color. It's on the right hand side, so towards the top. So it's not right in the center. Um, yeah, it should be visible, right? Quite visible if it's
W-
affecting the photo.
Well, the thing is that sometimes if you have anything on the surface of the glass, even if you have a
Yeah,
small scratch, that may not necessarily show up on the actual image. The only way that it might
yeah.
show up is if you point your lens towards light, and that light causes that scratch to refract.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it refracts, then you'll get that refraction from
Yep.
that scratch. But other than that,
Okay.
usually it won't show up.
Or
Okay.
if it stopped right down, or if the lens is stopped right down, like if you're at f11 or
Yeah.
Yeah,
16, it might show up.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
if you're using a large aperture or small f-stop, then it may show up because then you're using more of the edge of the lens. But as you
Right.
stop down, you will find
Yeah.
that you're not using as much of the edge of the lens. And besides, most lenses are really the best at f8, f11.
Yeah. That's why I normally use to shoot. Yeah. So all right. So it will be a refraction, and that's the way it will show up, I guess. Okay. I'll watch
Okay.
for that. I really don't want to replace that lens. It's expensive and it's my favorite one. But no, well, it is what it is. It happened last week and I was so upset. Well,
Okay,
thank you.
good. Let's see. Any other questions? Anything else that now, before we really get started here, do you guys have, I usually ask you to show something. So if you have anything to show me, as far as images are concerned that you've taken recently, that you'd like to show off, I'd love to see them now. I try to limit it to a couple of images only because
Okay.
I'm really trying to get the time down to 1 hour only on these chats. We've been going a lot longer with some of our guest speakers, but I'd like to shorten it up a little bit so that the content is a little more
Okay.
intense, and but it's over quicker. I think a lot of
Yep.
people would appreciate that.
Yep. Can I, George? May
Sure,
I?
go ahead.
Okay. I've got something new and exciting going on for me. I've been looking into it for some time. Um, I do a lot of manual focus photography on mirrorless full frame. Um, and I've been looking into shooting medium format glass on full frame. And there are two companies that make, some people call them a speed booster, some people call them a photo reducer. It's the opposite of um, of an adapter you buy that will multiply your image by a 1.4. This will reduce the image. And what it is it, you can see this, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
It reduces it by 0.71. And
Hmm.
what that does, this is a Mamiya standard. Um, it's an 80 millimeter f1.9. And they're big
Yeah.
and they are designed to cover. Now, these are off the Mamiya 645s, which is a medium format film format, of course. And it's a much larger circle that it has to cover, like on the surface of the film. So what the reducer does is that it takes the circle of a medium format lens and it reduces it down and it puts it across the corners of a full frame sensor.
Right.
So what you get is you get all the compression of an 80 millimeter lens, and it crunches it down to a 57 millimeter full frame equivalent, but you get the whole frame, not just the center. Um, and you gain one full stop because you've got that much light going onto the sensor, so it's brighter. And you actually gain one full stop. And I've got one sample image that I can show you of a park. Okay, every time I do this, George, you got to tell me how to do it. Share. I go into share.
Well, first you open up the image on your desktop. Make sure it's fully open. Not
Okay,
just, yeah, not just in the application, but just like totally open.
okay,
And
right,
then
right.
you go back to your Zoom, and you
Yes.
click on the share button and it'll open up a window and you'll see that image there and you click on that image.
Okay. Untitled export. And it is this one. And I open it up. And now I've got it opened in preview. Okay, where do I open it up at, Jorj, please?
Um, have you opened it?
It's in preview, yes.
Okay, that's fine. If it's in preview, now go back to Zoom
Go back to Zoom
and see the green button at the bottom. Click on share
and then select it.
and then select it.
There you are. Hmm.
Now, this is approximately 645 that is crunched down to full frame. They're pretty similar in aspect ratio, actually.
Yeah,
But like, it's just so big.
It's
Like,
nice.
um, it's it's a full frame look, or that's what I think anyway. I should have taken this like with a 57 millimeter full frame lens and then compared the two of them because I have a 57 and just see what the two of them look like side by side. Now, uh, this is at about f4, so the glass is plenty sharp, but that
Mhm.
is two full stops, like above, like that is stop down, uh, two full stops.
yeah,
And with this much light going in, my God, you've got huge shutter speeds because uh, it's bright, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Jorj, you've done a lot of medium format, haven't you, like in your past?
I have.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, medium and large.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I used to do some. I did for a couple of years. I had a pair of old Bronicas that were just great cameras. I loved those
Yeah,
things. And but I'm rather happy with this. I'm just starting to like to really explore it a little bit. The guy with the dog in the left-hand corner, he kind of stands out a little bit, I thought, which was a little bit of perspective. This is at Pinafore Park in St. Thomas.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I really like the photos. Very nice. I like the way you capture the trees.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
no, it's really beautiful.
well, thank you, Andrea.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I got is that I'm exploring something new and exciting. And the guy that I bought this lens off of, he's also got a 45 2.8. I'm a Mia 45 2.8.
right.
Well, that crunches, the numbers crunch down to 32 millimeters at f2.
Hmm.
Um, so, um, so it's wide and it's fast. So I'm going to
Hmm.
see what that works out like,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. For
Okay,
landscape.
Mhm.
very
And
nice.
and and if I may, one thing that I really like about medium format is I used to do some prints. Um, if you shoot Hasselblad, I could never afford it. But if you were
Yeah,
shooting Hasselblad film, they were all square. They are 1 to 1.
Mhm.
And the nice thing about shooting with this 645 lens on an R5 is that I can select an aspect ratio of 1 to 1 in the camera.
right.
Mhm.
And with like with a medium format lens, I can kind of approximate like that look for portraiture, you know, and that kind of thing. So that's just something.
Mhm.
No, that's cool. I like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, now, do we have anybody else? Anything to share? Any photographs before
Okay.
we
And
move
now I got
on?
to unshare. How do I unshare? Okay. Stop
Okay,
share. Okay.
that's right.
Okay. Got it. Thank you,
Fantastic.
guys
Okay,
and
Thank you.
ladies.
all right. So I just wanted to let you know that I will have a couple of guests coming up. I'm not exactly sure. One of them I already know is booked, but the other one, I don't know if any of you know, uh, uh, Donna Waxman.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did quite a few courses with her at Mohawk.
Yeah, and Donna is, let me just, there. Donna is into this refraction photography of small droplets of water, and she's going
Mm.
to be a guest speaker coming up at some time. Um, it's really pretty fantastic what she does with this. Just going to change that.
So she had a course this summer, but I think it was canceled. By the time I went to register, probably there was not enough people signing up for it.
Yeah. You know what I have found with the Mohawk courses is that people wait. Uh,
Last minute.
yeah, they do, and when they wait last minute, well, you know what? There aren't enough people, so they cancel the course. And I've had a
Yeah.
situation where there are enough people, but they just waited too long.
Mm.
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
see a course that you really want to participate in, jump on it, get your name in there, and it'll help build up the course.
Yeah.
And the other one is, of course, the let's see, I think I have another little, yeah, good. The other one is something by a person who worked for me many years ago, um, and then through her work with me, found a husband, and they took off, and he bought a boat, and they sailed practically around the world for a long, long time. And she's an excellent photographer, so we're going to be seeing her work uh, September the 29th. And she's got two little lectures that she talks about. They're very short and sweet, but each one of them has a point to be made, and consequently, they're worthwhile listening to. The one that she's going to be talking about will be Madagascar. So they sailed to Madagascar. They went into areas that very, very few tourists ever go to, really untouched areas. And that's let
Oh,
me just change that.
wow.
Sorry about that. Okay. I knew I was going to run into some glitches here. I got to get more practice in this thing. Anyway, yeah, and this is part of the Madagascar trip. Um, she will
Beautiful.
be talking about how important it is to be skilled rather than rely on the equipment. She bought some new equipment, Canons, and once they got there, the Canon camera failed. As a matter of fact, the whole mirror assembly inside fell out, and they got in touch with Canon, and Canon said, "Well, we have been having trouble with the glue in the mirror assemblies under high humidity conditions. Madagascar, high humidity, real problem." Um, but even though she knew that she was going into high humidity situation, she had no idea that they've had this problem. And I think sometimes that if you're going to be going on a trip, you should find out what the extremes of the uh, climate are there. And then you should get in touch with the company that made your camera and say, have there been any issues with high heat or high humidity with this camera? And they'll let you know. And then you can take the obviously the appropriate measures to avoid that problem. And what she had to do was she just packed up her camera because there's no way she could go anywhere to get a Nikon or to have that repaired, or a Canon and have that repaired. So she found an old digital camera that she'd been carrying, and it had a cracked screen on the back, and she took the whole Madagascar trip with that little digital camera. She told me that those were the best photographs of the entire trip. And
Cool.
the reason she said that they were the best is because, and I know she's a great photographer, she says it's not the equipment,
Yeah.
it's the skill of the photographer,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know?
Yeah. Think
And
it through.
it's just like those old adages where somebody says, "Wow, that was a great meal. You must have some great pots and pans." Really? That's no,
Yeah, Ernest Hemingway
actually,
had a real nice typewriter.
yeah, that's right. You
Yeah.
always write a good book. Anyway, so those are the two guests that I'm going to be having in the future. There might be another one too, but what I want to do right now is I'm just going to switch over and, oops, that's not who I wanted to switch. My cameras are all switched around here. There we go. So, um, what I'm going to talk about first of all is neutral density filters. Now, I don't know how many of you own neutral density filters, but I think this might actually play into something Daryl was talking about with, extremely high shutter speeds and so on, where you kind of max things out. There are people who want to take waterfall shots in a bright sunny situation, and they find even at 100 ISO, which is your slowest, obviously, ISO speed, even at that, and even if you open up your aperture all the way to let in as much light as you can, you're still shooting at like 125th of a second or 250th of a second because of the brightness of the light. So what do you do if you want that waterfall to be nice and smooth, which requires a longer exposure of, let's say, starting at a quarter second and longer? You can't get there. So the answer to that will be obviously a neutral density filter. I got to change this again. Sorry. Mm, I'm just going to uh, move that. There. I think we should be good now. Okay. So what you need to do is have a variable density filter. Um, what this does is it absorbs light so that you can lengthen your shutter speed for those beautiful gossamer waterfall shots. So a variable density filter, also known as a variable ND filter, um, reduces the amount of light that comes into the camera. It allows you to control exposure without changing aperture, shutter speed, or ISO, which means that now what you can do is you can change the shutter speed to what you want it to be and then dial in the amount of light you want the camera to receive with your ND filter. The filter consists of two polarizing layers that rotate against each other, and thereby they can reduce the amount of light coming into the camera. So this gives you that motion blur capability in very bright light situations for waterfalls. So how do you use it? Well, you attach it to the front just like a normal filter, and you rotate the outer ring to adjust the darkness. You'll actually see it adjust. Then you check the camera's exposure and focus before you apply that strong density. So you use the brightness of the scene to check your exposure and your focus. Then you dial it in. And you have to be careful. One of the things that I have found with ND filters, as well as with some polarizing filters, is they have a tendency, some of them, to vignette in the corners. So the corners are darker. I would suggest that if you're planning on buying an ND filter, take your camera with you to the store where you're going to buy it, put the filter on, take a couple of shots through the store window or outside at various settings of the neutral density filter and see if it creates any kind of anomalies that you don't want, that you may not be aware of. If it does, then look at another brand because sometimes this might be brand specific. Okay.
George,
Yes,
um, I may be confusing, but you're talking about a variable polarizer.
that's what it
Now,
is.
they really tend to knock out high highlights. My understanding is that an ND filter, a neutral density filter, is just a piece of glass that is not variable, and you can get them in 2-stop, 4-stop, like all the way up like to 10 stops, and like they're virtually black.
That's
And
right.
people use that for photographing the sun with. Okay.
So there,
Um,
yep, there are two options. There's the option of buying a neutral
yeah,
density filter, that's two polarizers, and there's the option of buying neutral
buying
density
like just the
filters.
regular sheet ones
Right,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Those are the ones
And
yeah, yeah.
and
And they're
and
effective.
those are very effective as well. Now, of course, the variable neutral density filter is sort of a shortcut, not having to replace or put other or try several lenses before you get to the shutter speed you want. But it's something that I think is worthwhile trying and see if you like it. But the
Right.
independent filters are also something that you should look into because they will not have the same anomalies necessarily
Yeah,
that the uh, variable neutral density filter may have.
right.
So
And one of those anomalies is that the variables, it'll knock out things like sun stars,
yeah,
like say from aperture, okay? Like those little character spots that are all over, that are really bright.
yes,
As a regular ND, because it does not polarize the light, it leaves the sun stars there.
right. Okay, the
Yeah, yeah,
reflections.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
thank you for that. Now, here is I just grabbed one and wanted to show you. This is the one that I have, and you can see that um, it has. Let's see here if I can. Do I have it even available? Oh, I do. I've got my little red arrow here. So it has these little tick marks across it, and each one of these is supposed to be one exposure value, but this is minimum.
Wow.
So this is the minimum amount of light that it'll let in. So it's really two filters in one. That's the way that puppy works. Okay, now, just to show you, I actually did that. So I've got it, I held it up and I rotated it so that you could see how it darkens the
Oh,
scene.
yeah.
So again, it's not for everybody, but that's something that you might want to try.
George, if you've got a Polaroid filter already, would you take that off, or
Oh
can
yes,
you leave that on?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. You wouldn't shoot with
You
a
have to take it.
typically I don't shoot with a polarizing filter on ever because it does absorb light, so it reduces
Yeah.
my light coming into the camera. Um, and I don't always want a polarized shot.
Yep.
sometimes, there are reflections that I do want in the shot and not have
And
that
it
taken out.
flattens the shot. They also reduce contrast and they flatten the shot out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've
Yeah.
seen people shoot portraits with a polarizing filter, and I thought, oh, really? I mean, come on. You're shooting a portrait, you're
Mhm.
taking all the shine off the skin. Actually, it's kind of interesting. It looks a little bit surreal, but yeah, if you take the shine off the skin. Anyway, the
Mhm.
next thing I want to talk about is um, polarizing filter. Speaking of polarizing filters. So, polarizing filters. Here's the deal. It reduces reflection and glare from nonmetallic surfaces. Now, interestingly enough, this brought up something else that I got into with a friend of mine because he says, well, what if you use it on a mirror? Well, a mirror is actually a metallic surface. It will not reduce the reflections of a mirror. However, what it may do is it may reduce reflections that are on the subject in the mirror. But that's not where I'm going with this. If you look in the mirror, it flips you left to right. Everybody agree?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, the mirror will reverse you. It flips you left to right. And he said, well, if it flips you left to right, how come it doesn't flip you top to bottom? I mean, wouldn't that make sense?
Mhm.
If it flips you in one direction, why isn't it flipping you in the other direction?
Mhm.
I said, well, try laying down in front of a mirror and it'll flip you left to right, but it won't turn you over and you won't drop off the bed. Anyway, it's the there is a physics explanation for that,
Yeah,
but
there
I
is.
didn't really get into it with him. Anyway, back
Mhm.
to our polarizing filter. It enhances color saturation. That's the other thing, especially blues in the sky and greens in foliage, besides just reducing glare.
Yeah.
The other thing is it improves contrast by minimizing haze in landscape. Now, I have to give you a caveat here. You know how they say a haze filter or a UV filter reduces haze? Keep in mind the operative word is reduces. It doesn't get rid of haze. A UV filter will never get rid of haze. It'll reduce it. Same thing with a polarizing filter. It'll reduce haze. You won't get rid of haze with it. It just reduces it
Yeah, the same
through
thing with
its
Lightroom won't.
polarizing
Yeah.
effect. Okay. And the difference between linear and circular polarizing filters. Now, ever since digital came in, circular polarizing filters have become very, very popular compared to the linear that has been used. Now, I didn't switch over to circular polarizing filters for a long, long, long time because the other ones worked fine for me. I didn't find any problem with them. But apparently, there are some problems that you may run into, and the linear polarizing filter reduces reflections and glare effectively, as I have found, but it can interfere with camera autofocus and metering
Ah,
systems in DSLR cameras. So consequently, that's why the circular polarizing filter has become popular. The linear is still suitable for film cameras and manual focus systems, obviously. The circular polarizing filter, on the other hand, has an additional quarter wave plate to prevent interference with autofocus and metering. And that's how they kind of come over that problem. And it's ideal for the digital cameras of today and offers the same glare reduction and color enhancement as linear filters. So just to give you an idea, here's a shot through a polarizing filter, and then the shot around the filter is just the water, the background, and the scenery. you can see that there are rocks, as a matter of fact, in the water. You can see the rocks here. But with a polarizing filter, it takes the glare off the top of the water, and now you can see the rocks more clearly. The school of thought is, okay, that's fine, but what if I want the glare on the water? You can turn the polarizing filter and so control the degree of glare reduction. Now, on the right-hand side in this image, it's been reduced considerably. On the left-hand side, not at all. But there is an in-between setting that you can go for if you still
Hmm.
want a little, because, some people say, well, I want to be aware that the water's there, that it's just not like transparent. Um, so there is that.
They are absolutely killer for black and white landscape.
Yeah, that too.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah,
just beautiful.
don't discount it just out of for color. Now, speaking of that, Daryl, when you shoot
Yeah.
black and white, do you shoot black and white in the camera?
No.
No. The one thing that my students at the school um, sort of miss, I think sometimes, is if you shoot raw, but you've set your camera to black and white, all the color information is still there.
That's right, it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you want to see what your photograph looks like in black and white, shoot it in black and white, look at it on your LCD on the back, and you'll be fine.
Or do the opposite. And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Really. Okay. Like I've just like in decades past, I shot so much black and white film that it's it it doesn't matter anymore. Like it's just you know, um filters are like an enhancer for what you can do. Well,
Sure.
guess what? Lightroom is too. Like instead of working in a dark room, I now work in Lightroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make
Okay.
any difference. I did both shoot to black and white and or just change it in Lightroom. It's exactly the same. It doesn't make any difference. I do a lot of black and white photos. I love it,
Yep.
especially for landscapes, trees and stuff, because I don't know, it's just it takes away from all the color and all the greens and
All the
uh,
clutter.
yeah, the clutter. Yeah, it declutters the photo. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yep.
And it's just beautiful. But yeah, I decided not to bother with changing black and white versus I just shoot color and raw and then change it in Lightroom.
Yep. I
It's
couldn't agree more, Andrea.
yeah,
I think it was Henri Cartier-Bresson who said, because he was alive like back when color was coming in,
yeah,
of course, and he said he was talking about portraiture. He said, if you shoot color, you photograph the people's clothing. If you shoot black and white, you photograph their souls,
yeah, yeah. That's what he said. Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I've just sent out a text because there are some people watching on YouTube. I just want to let them know that we're interested in seeing where they're from. If they want to send a comment, that would be fantastic. Anyway, thank you very much for that, sir. And I'm just going to move up to see if this thing is working now. Oh, it is. Wonderful. Okay. Um, so I'm going to move on with my little discussion here. My last topic for tonight is, let's see, it's about restrictions. When you go to a country, it's always a good idea to find out what the climate is like in that country, weather-wise, politically. If there's anything boiling that you might not want to go there necessarily. I think it's that kind of awareness is always good before you travel somewhere. particularly if it's a country where there's all kinds of turmoil happening. However, the best way to do that, and I may be corrected uh, by Marina in a minute, but the best way to do that is, for me, it's to go to the embassy of that country, give them a call, and find out if traveling to that country is okay, is it safe, and find out, are there any photographic restrictions in that country? Is there anything I should be aware of that I must not photograph or should not photograph um, when I'm there? And they'll certainly let you know so that you can stay out of trouble and maybe even stay out of jail. I think that's a good idea. Anyway, what I've done is I'm just going to talk a little bit about the reasons for these restrictions that you will find in the country. The first one is security. Photography in any in or any near any military installations obviously is not a good idea. In some countries, government buildings and critical infrastructure is often restricted to prevent the exposure of sensitive information. And that could include transportation places like train stations. In some countries here, you're quite free to photograph train stations. As a matter of fact, a lot of times when I was in London, I took photographs of Wolseley Barracks, which is obviously a military place, and never had any problems. Matter of fact, if you want to go in and say, "Can I take some photographs?" They'll probably let you in to take some photographs. So they're pretty good that way. Um, so there's that. There's cultural sensitivity, which a lot of us don't really, well, we're not really aware of sometimes. And certain places or events that they're having, they might be religious or culturally sensitive, and photography is either discouraged or prohibited. So you might not want to get caught up in that, and they will let you know if that's the case. Some sites, like historical buildings, cultural artifacts, might have restrictions of photography to protect them from damage or preserve their integrity. You'll find that usually happens in museums and places like that. They'll
Yep.
ask you, not to take flash photographs. The other thing is, which countries and what kind of sensitivities are there? Well, I looked a few up. In Algeria, photographing government buildings, military installations, and police is prohibited. You're not allowed to photograph the policemen. If we go to Korea, South Korea in particular, photographing people in public without their consent is considered a criminal offense, and women must give their consent even if the photos were taken in public. Breaking this law could see you jailed for up to 5 years. That would be a very unhappy conclusion to a holiday, okay? Even though the stay is paid for. The UAE, photography of certain bridges, palaces, and government buildings is illegal, and palace-related photos are discouraged. Now, I'm not sure what they meant by discouraged, but it's probably not shot on site. But I'm sure that they would approach you and say, "Please stop taking photographs here."
Shot on site's a really interesting pun, George.
Oh yeah, I try to stay away from that kind of talk when I'm taking photographs anymore. I'm going out shooting. No, you're not. Okay. Mexico. Authorities may intimidate or prevent anyone from holding a camera if they come into close parameters of government buildings. So that's a little bit general. Again, I'm sure that, in those particular cases, they would just approach you and say, actually, you cease and desist. Please don't
Mm.
do this. So the Vatican City, photography is not allowed in the Sistine Chapel. But that
Ah,
may, but that means that did you break that law?
yep.
But but that means that the rest of the place, I guess, is okay to photograph. But again, you should check. And if there are places that they're not allowing photography, if you use your flash, it's a dead giveaway.
Boy,
So don't use your flash. Japan. Photography is not allowed in some areas, such as, again, military installations and certain museums.
Sure.
There are certain events where they discourage it as well. And I can understand that. And
Yeah.
certain, again, types of monasteries. But you'll know that when you get there.
Yep.
They
Or
usually
anything
have signs.
involving the emperor. Yeah.
Yeah. India and Mumbai, selfie taking is prohibited in 16 locations. So that means they don't want you to take a photograph of yourself with that location behind you. It's probably okay to take a photograph of the location, but not as a selfie.
Well,
Well, go figure. I don't know. But it's good to know this.
mhm.
Okay, now here my spelling is, or my pronunciation is going to be challenged. Uruakata Juta National Park in Australia. Commercial photography has been banned altogether. Now, I don't know what that says for amateur photographers or just tourist photography, but it seems like anything commercial has been banned, which means that they don't want those photographs ending up in a brochure or book without their permission. I would think that's what that's all about. Okay. I'm just going to throw up, don't know why it's not coming up. I'll check in a minute anyway. So let's go on to the Netherlands. Well, the Netherlands, the Amsterdam Red Light District. In Amsterdam's red light district, photography is strictly prohibited.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
because they, um, a lot of the ladies are sitting out in display windows, and they'll chase you away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's illegal work for them, and they just asking for respect, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
good.
So let's see, what else do we have here? We have restrictions um, in Egypt, Valley of the Kings, Luxor. Photography within the tombs is not permitted. Anyone sneaking in a camera or trying to take pictures or photos will risk being fined and having their camera confiscated. So take your cheap camera if you're going to do that.
Hmm.
Okay, so we have, as a guest today, we have Marina, who is a home-based certified travel professional. She's part of a prestigious travel consortium equipped with the expertise and resources to curate unforgettable travel experiences with access to top tier accommodations, exclusive platforms, and comprehensive travel protection all in one place. She ensures that every detail is seamlessly handled. Now, if you're going to go anywhere, it's a good idea to have somebody like that plan your trip, whether you're going as a group or individually, because they can take care of all of those things that we just talked about to make sure that you're aware of all the restrictions and so on. And they have a dedicated team that backs them, and that's really important. And they'll actually craft your vacation to your personal needs. So if you're looking for something specific, if you're a wildlife photographer, they'll know where you should be going to get the wildlife that you want.
Hmm.
The one thing that she'll make you aware of is that the travel landscape is always evolving, but she has expertise and connections to find the right information and solutions for you. So somebody like Marina is always on top of it, always knows these things. So it's a good idea. And I got to know Marina actually through Facebook and through um, I think I sent her a link to this particular uh, thing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to introduce you to Serena or Marina, and like I already have. Um, so I'm going to right there. And Marina,
Hello.
stage is yours.
No, that's the wrong
Oh,
person.
sorry, Andrea. How about Marina? I don't even know if I have.
Andrea, you can be there. I'm talking over.
Yeah, no.
There you go. We'll do a little bit of lip syncing.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
So I don't know if any of you have any questions about traveling, but here you go.
Thank you, Jorj. It's a very nice introduction. I guess no pressure, but it's a lot of pressure since you introduced me that way. And I do want to add one little thing to your previous discussion. So one more place which is very exciting where you can take pictures. It's Moulin Rouge in Paris.
Mm.
I'm not sure if you're aware of it. So for decades, Moulin Rouge was one of the most authentic, I guess, entertainment in Paris. Topless women, champagne. It's a cabaret style, very traditional, and they all only sell images of and brochures of their I guess dancers while you're there. You cannot find anything that resembles the costumes outstanding, and you cannot bring any cameras. If you bring, even back then, like I don't know at this point, when you bring phone, you're really not allowed to use it. It used to be like 5 years ago. What happens again, the world is evolving every day, and we as a travel consultants, we usually have a little bit more insightful insights on daily basis, what changes, how it changes. When we provide our expertise to our clients, we tap into current situations. We have resources that allow us to validate whether it's a safe place to go. And we discussed it this morning with Jorj. When Cuba had a lot of problems this year, majority of our clients, everyone was saying, the media was saying that the travel is down, it's terrible there. We have connections that are really helps us to determine whether it's a safe place for our clients or not. We stand by it. Yes, some of the resorts were experiencing problems, and some of them absolutely weren't untouched. So diesels, generators, everything, the parties, like no interruption of food or anything. And again, this is coming from a knowledge that I have to develop and I have to refresh because I have clients that looking into photography, those authentic pictures and authentic environments that Cuba offers and no other country probably has. It's one of those amazing opportunities to present and share that with us. And just like Jorj mentioned before, we do reach out to embassies, we do reach out to tourism boards because they are the ones that have connections into our industry. And we get answers a little bit faster than probably average people. We have a priority, whether it's consider when you're booking by yourself or you're booking with travel agent booking usually. Unfortunately, it has a priority because we have a big army of people to support, and it's an industry pride and protection that what we offer to our clients. And on that note, Jorj, do we have any like 5 minutes? Can I quickly skim to what I do?
Sure.
Okay, I'm just gonna share my presentation, which I will share a little bit later with everyone. I'm a little bit self-conscious about that because there's a overlay of my, can everyone see it?
Yes.
Excellent. So what I created, and I wanted to share it, but it's a little bit raw because it has my recordings over. I just gonna quickly go through the steps of what we usually do. my groups usually, whether it's individual travel or groups, it starts with a request. And again, as we have access to multiple destinations, we finding you a safe spot where we really stand by it, we validate it, we guarantee it's going to be a good experience. If anything goes wrong, we're always accessible, we're always reachable. We can fix any problem that you experience on land in a different destination, and that's our privilege. And Mexico has multiple places where the Day of the Dead is a big deal, especially Mazatlan. Mazatlan is commercial place,
Yeah.
but it has, I'm not sure if you were, when you go into Mazatlan into specific areas, specific times, you can see the whales, you can see, it's a Pacific Ocean, close to Pacific Ocean. You can see the real Day of the Dead experience. It's a real carnival. It's not staged. It's how people live. And again, it's not always, it doesn't have to be just one of those examples. Cuba is extremely popular for, as I know, like lots of photographer requests because of that going back in time scenery, and their architecture is exceptional, absolutely exceptional. Amazing food. The only problem people are saying when you're staying in Havana, there's no all-inclusive resorts. Hotels are charging everything in US dollars. But with all of the great pricing and all of the accessibility, I can always help you to make sure that your trip doesn't break the bank, because there's a ways for us to plan it and share. Again, you can see a lot. Cuba is one of high destinations. So nature photography, I have requests for the Galapagos, and it doesn't have to be like, there's exotic places and there's simpler places where there's a travel piece for every budget, basically. Galapagos is very popular. Lots of people go with the group, and depending on the season, again, when you go, it could be pretty commercial. When it has a limited number of people to specific areas. Galapagos is pretty pricey because you cannot move there except for the boats. And in seasons or outside of seasons, you really need to know how to navigate between the islands. Again, if you're working with me, if you ever have any questions, we guide you through all of your itineraries. We suggest. My job is basically to present information and options to you, and you're making decisions. How do you want to travel? What are your preferences, and where do you go? So some of the very common, I guess, travels, it's where we organize like expeditions where we have a leader, and this is coming from our consortia. They give us ability. Consortia is a larger organization that stands behind us. They negotiate travel deals and pricing for us. And once in a while, they offer us to share with our clients. This is cooked and baked already, this ability to join that specific group. It doesn't have to be one of you, can be that group leader where we craft something that you would like to share with your friends or like people of the same interests, and I proceed and I will work with you or with your group to determine what's the best destination, what is the best style of photography you're trying to achieve. And I, at this point, have one of the requests from Northern Norway. The gentleman, he's a photographer out of Burlington. I definitely planning to introduce him to this group because I think he would be very interested to have exposure to such a talented and great group. He's looking into Norway fjords. They're planning, like at this point, in the process of looking for September 2026 for a small boat travel. So what does small boat means? It's local Norwegian boats. They have berths, up to 3 berths per cabin. They are layered and stacked. Within 7 days, they visit about 34 different villages. And it's really northern Norway, where it's extremely beautiful, wild. It's exactly the pictures what those boats show. And the boat has about 210, the maximum capacity. It's about 180 people to 210 probably. So again, 34 stops. That means 3 villages probably, or 4 villages sometimes. You don't have to go everywhere, but they do have National Geographic's specialists there that explaining everything. There's the seminars. So he is choosing this kind of lifestyle. And again, as Jorj mentioned, Japan is extremely popular. Japan has many different ways of travel. It's seasonality is a factor, whatever people would like to see. Europe has endless opportunities for photographers. Again, it really depends on any season, whether you're going in a carnival during February, the most scenic places probably, or summer, it's pretty crowded. We can pick up season recommendations. Really, really depends. So I have a very good connection with Africa, South Africa, and where my colleague actually does tours in, he's Canadian. He lives half of the year. We work for the same company. We started working for the same company. And he moved to Africa to lead the tours. This is his bread and butter. He does mostly South Africa. He lives in Cape Town, and he also does Morocco travel. Extremely trusted individual, where I know I can trust him with my kids. He's extremely knowledgeable, and they know Canadian and North American travelers, what we can expect, what is really for us, and it's not, it's very affordable, I would say. And again, this is like every opportunity presents your personality will be asking for specific travel style. We can always craft outside of Canada. I have ability to craft your vacation here in Canada. Canada has also endless opportunities. We have so much to offer. Sometimes I just cry because I cannot. I know so much, and there's not enough demand, and people always saying I can do it my own. You can do it my own, but when you work with me, we make the world a little bit bigger in your eyes. So when people coming in start planning with me, they always come back and they saying, I couldn't imagine that it could be so big and would be so fulfilling traveling with suggestions that I provide. So I'm slowly building my business, and this is my contact. So you can call me, you can explore. And again, I'm going to share this with Jorj a little bit later. I'm based in Ancaster. And on that note, I wanted to thank you for opportunity to share my presentation, and I hope at one point I will be working with one of you or all of you. Thank you.
That's great. Yeah.
Thank you
Super
very much.
exciting.
That's great.
The other part I just wanted to mention, and we were talking with Jorj this like yesterday, I guess. So I do have one of the events coming up on Thursday. My event is like we do travel nights. It's a special appreciation night for my clients that already traveled with me. We're doing this event on Thursday. I'm doing in Oakville Midtown Golf Club. It's a simulator for golf.
Excuse me,
If you have,
before you go on, do you
yes.
mind stopping your sharing?
Oh, so sorry. I thought I did. Oops, stop. Yes. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Thank you. I thought I did. Sorry. So anyhow, I have an event. If it's complimentary, if any of you would like to attend, let me know. I put your name on the list of SVPs, and you can bring a friend or a spouse. Like it's totally up to you. There's no obligations. This specific night is done with one of my business development manager from Virgin Voyages. He's the only Canadian crew that works in Canada. and we just capitalizing on his knowledge, and we're just meeting to chat and have a good time. If you have an opportunity, please join me.
Yeah, sounds great.
Any questions?
I just found this whole thing very exciting because I love travel photography. I've been to Morocco like 5 times, and I feel like I haven't seen the entire country yet.
Amazing.
Yes, and I plan to do more in the future, hopefully soon. So I'll probably contact you at some point.
Absolutely. We can chat. I would be happy to share what I know and what I have. And again, I have a friend who is going to Morocco every other 2 weeks because they know all the passes. If I don't know something, I always know where to find the answer for you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
Love
welcome.
it. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Very nice meeting you all. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marina. That was educational. And
Welcome.
one of the things when I was talking to Marina earlier, it was about popularizing this chat. I think that we've had looks like 5 people, 6 now, coming into the YouTube channel, and that's encouraging. I don't know who those people are. It's not the same as Zoom, but if they don't mind making a comment, letting me know who you are and where you're from, that would be fantastic. But I do want to promote this chat as much as possible. I can't do it all alone, so I'm asking you guys to help me promote it. So anytime that you see a new um, chat opening up on Facebook, or if I put one out there, please share it. And we'd like to have as many people as possible come on. As you know, I've got 2 other guests who are sort of in the wings. Um, that will be talking about different types of photography. And also, I'm also looking at exploring other types of photography as well. I have sent some inquiries to the Brantford Police Department to see if we can get a forensic photographer to share
Oh,
his work. And the
cool.
same thing with the fire department, because I know they have photographers. That I know that much of the investigation isn't done locally, but they do photographs of fires, and what they have to photograph might be of interest to people, um, and what challenges they have to photograph, things like that. Same thing with the police. I don't expect to see anything that would be compromising for either department, but more or less talk about their trade and their approach to their particular type of photography. Then I'm also looking at something like I've run into the photographer who works at McMaster, and and I talked to him about what kind of photography does he do, and he says he takes photographs of everything from samples through microscopes to whatever they need photographs of. And I said, would you be willing to show some of your work? He says, yeah, absolutely. There's nothing on that he would show which would indicate who it's from, or anything like that. So but it certainly would be interesting, because that's one of the types of photography professions that are shown. Then I have a person who is a qualified pilot with drones, and so he said he'd be willing to have a short little talk about the challenges of taking photographs with drones. So there's a little bit of everything coming up, and I'm hoping that we can increase our base in this chat. I'll be sending out. I have, I think, about 100 emails of students, prior students, and I'll be sending that out to them, promoting this chat and everything about it. So, and that includes Marina. Uh, if you're available as things ramp up, then I'd love to have your presentation again, um, because I think it'll be valuable for anybody who's attending.
Mhm.
So,
Thank you.
thank you very
Absolutely.
much.
I would be happy to help, Jorj, and I will reach out later so I can help you with some marketing materials as well to popularize your group. So I'd be happy to. I also have a couple of connections, and one of the photographers that work for National Geographic, he's in Ottawa. so I can connect you and you can see. Perhaps he would be a very good guest.
Perfect. Yep. Well, let's see. We've gone beyond the time that I've really wanted to, but that's okay. Everybody, nobody fell asleep and hit their keyboard, so I'm very happy with that. And sometimes it will run a little longer, and I'm okay with that too, because the information is valuable. So I'm not going to cut anybody off because I'm not tied to any kind of a clock here. If we end up longer, that'll happen. If we end up shorter, that'll happen too. And each time we have a get together, if I don't have a guest specifically that'll take up the whole time, then I will share with you some nuggets of information that I find valuable in my photography or in the past. I might even show my portfolio sometime.
Mm.
So that might be interesting. Anyway, with that being said, I'm going to say, let's see, go over here. And oh, that's me. All right. So
Mm.
I'm going to say good night, and I hope that everybody got something out of this evening's little talk. And I would like to make sure that if you're on YouTube, if you don't mind giving it a like, and at the same time, anybody who's on YouTube, if you're not on YouTube right now, but if you go there, you'll see this program will be posted and you can go over it if you want any information. But be sure if you do go there, give it a other way, give it a like, and also other way again, this way, and make sure you subscribe. So with that, thank you
Sounds
very
good.
much, everybody. Have a good night, and I hope you have a good week.
Good
Yes.
night, everybody.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Good
Bye.
night.
Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.